Edie Brickell, Magic in the Morning, and what I am, 8:36 is our time. I like it at temperature 31 degrees out there, a good bit warmer than it was yesterday. Mike Barrett joins us as planned for a weekly installment of Good Policies where we check out the insurance industry. Mike, good morning as we check in remotely again.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I am well. I got a cup of coffee here. We had a cash call winner this morning. Everything's been going pretty decent. Yourself?
Awesome.
You and your little man and family, how you guys doing?
Everyone is doing well. And, happy to report that my folks have received vaccine number 1, so that makes me feel very happy. So the road to progress is in front of us, sir. Makes me good.
It is, definitely. Things are opening up, and we're getting higher and higher vaccination counts. Mike, I got this bag over here, and my friend Don has always argued with me that it's a man purse. It's not, but I carry it with me.
It's a man purse, just so you know.
No, it's not.
Anyway.
It's a Kennametal tool bag, okay? But anyways, in it I have all my paperwork.
Which makes it not a man purse, but a man purse.
A manly purse. In this here, I have all my paperwork, like my insurance and stuff like that, right? But I'm going through a thick stack of papers here. I can't find my insurance. One of the things we've talked about in past Good Policy chats is liability coverages, the minimums or maximums that we have on our insurance. Once we were talking, see, I used to think that a $50,000 liability was enough. But if I remember right, one of our conversations, that would barely cover the cost of one of today's new pickup trucks. What is the advice on liability limits?
Right, this is probably the most cliched answer. Buy as much as you can reasonably afford is probably my best answer to that. And here's exactly what I mean. So a lot of people are under the belief, and we're talking at this point, this would be for any liability, but this particular example is auto insurance, okay? So auto insurance liability, we've talked many times how in the state of Vermont, the minimum liability limits are $25,000 bodily injury per person, meaning if you are in an accident, you have caused that accident, you have hit a pedestrian or a vehicle with occupants, and you caused the accident, and as a result they have injuries, that $25,000 is saying that's the most we'll pay for any one individual's medical bills. And then the second limit is $50,000. That limit says, hey, by the way, we'll pay out the $25,000 bodily injury per individual of this accident that you've caused, but we're going to not pay any more than $50,000 total. All right? And then that third fun little number in state minimum is $10,000. What's that? That's what your policy would pay as a maximum amount of damage to somebody's vehicle as a result of an accident that you have caused. And as you just mentioned, vehicles do not cost $10,000 very often these days. And if you've caused damage, there may be a circumstance where that $10,000 would be sufficient because maybe you've caused $5,000 worth of damage to that car. But the high probability of a significant accident could be totaling a vehicle out, and guess what? It's not going to be anywhere near enough. So where's the problem with that? Well, a lot of people are under the belief that if they have liability insurance, they're fine. They're good. They're covered. They're protected. They're safe. And that's true but not true. It's true that you are protected up to the limits of coverage that you have purchased. But if you are in an accident and the result of that accident is excessive medical bills, excessive property damage, that for any number of reasons exceeds the coverage that you have, that does not mean you're off the hook. That means the insurance company is off the hook because they paid what they agreed to pay to protect you. But anything beyond that is coming back on you personally. So what's that? That's going to be a judgment. That's going to be a lien. Maybe you want to sell your house. Well, guess what? You could have a lien or some kind of a settlement that you have to have. So when you sell your house, you're paying off this additional liability exposure that you didn't have coverage for. So that's really why it's so incumbent upon you as the consumer to really think about what can we afford? What makes the most sense? Do I have enough coverage? And I'm giving state minimums, Jeff, but that can be the case with some of the most common coverage we see. More common coverage would be $100,000 bodily injury per person, $300,000 bodily injury per accident, and $100,000 property damage. And off the top you think, well, man, that's great. That's perfect. That's going to cover me. Well, yeah, it is. But remember, if something happens, the unforeseen, which is exactly what insurance is covering, if that happens and you have significant bodily injury to a party that you have injured as a result of an accident, boy, you could still be facing those judgments and liens and, going after personal assets. So that's why it's really important to think about, okay, can I afford to go with higher liability? Do I have that much to protect? What should I do? And have that discussion with your insurance carrier and look at options. It may be that you want to go to an umbrella policy for some reason. That's a possibility as well, because a possibility would be excess liability.
Well, you get the audio copies of these here, and I know at least in the past 6 months or so, we've talked about umbrella coverage, and folks can find that at your website and on your YouTube channel, right?
Correct. Yeah, and we're happy to talk about it all the time. But, it's one of those things where as you grow, maybe your insurance should kind of grow alongside you. If you don't have a lot of assets and you don't have a lot of ability to pay premiums and you want to try to keep cost in check, maybe grow with the policy. Maybe have that $100,000, $300,000, which, again, a lot of people still have. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you realize that there's another limit of $250,000 and $500,000 in today's world with medical costs being so exorbitant, it may be worth just seeing, okay, well, what would it cost if I was to increase my liability to that? And remember, in Vermont and in New Hampshire, your liability that you choose, you have to specifically sign a waiver to choose less coverage for your uninsured limits to be not the same. So 99.999% of the time, whatever limits you choose are going to be the liability limits, because we're not going to advise you to select less for yourself. So not only you're protecting yourself if you are the reason that somebody has caused an accident, but let's talk about those people who may not have enough insurance, and maybe they hit you, and they have caused significant bodily injury to you and to the occupants of your vehicle. Well, you would have uninsured motorist protection if their limits become exhausted. That would then protect you so that you're not having an incredible amount of expense out of pocket. Not everybody has health insurance. Health insurance will kick in, but health insurance will kick in after liability is paid on an auto policy for an auto accident that caused injury.
And and as we get ready to wrap it up here, I think I remember that if you yourself have been involved in an accident that was somebody else's fault, that uninsured motorist coverage will cover you. But that won't stop the insurance company from going after their insurance company, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important, because, the insurance companies will pay, but if they have found that there's a reason or a cause or a sliver of hope in collecting that money back from the at-fault party, you bet your life they're going to go after that.
All right. Tell them how to get in touch with you, Mike.
Sure, you can give us a call, 748-5224. You can visit us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. We are still locked up for just walk-ins, but we are people are knocking the door, making appointments. We're happy to see you for sure. You can find us at our website, thebarrettagency.com, free home and auto quotes on our site, and just find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Google, Barrett Insurance Agency.
All right, stay safe, my friend. We'll chat with you in a week.
I will call in. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Good Policies with Barrett Insurance every Tuesday morning at 8:35. Now to music.